PDP, PDP. We're just coming in from Abuja. Mr. Chairman, sir, you're welcome. Distinguished doctor.
No, that's why I went to Rivers until there. So I said, I called him. I said, I'm coming to your state. He said, well, I said, I have to see the delegate. He said, what do you? I said, well, you never know. If you change your mind the day before that, and the delegates have to see me. Because 24 hours in politics is too long. So I said, if I don't come, they won't know. Just like if I don't come here, you won't know. So I need to come here. So I thank you people for the welcome. For me, that is my desperation. And that is the desperation that is driving me to go around and be able to beg our party people to understand that your country is collapsing fast. And unless something is done, it will consume all of us. Anarchy consumes everybody. If he comes here, he won't know who is chairman and who is delegate. Who know who is governor? If you throw a bomb here now, you won't say, oh, Peter B used to be governor and he was a good governor. Whether you are good or bad, anarchy will consume everybody. Today in your country, there is no good news. Every day you wake up in this country, it is bad news. It's no longer time. Oh, look at this good news. Every day you wake up, it is killing, kidnapping, one form of banditry or the other. That's what you hear every day. And it's all over. Northeast, northwest, north central, southeast, south, everywhere. And everybody kept asking, why is this? I granted an interview on Monday that came out on Monday, and I said, it's a failed state. Somebody said, why will you use that? I said, we have qualified for the two major yardsticks of the failed state. You are no longer in control of your territory. Nobody can drive. I've been trying to go to Kaduna, and the doctor was in the car today as I was talking. When I come by air, the airline said to me, they don't fly to Kaduna. That's what the airline told me. No airline flies into Kaduna today. If I go by train, there's no train. I said, I go by road. They said, no. But you can try flying into Kanu and drive down. And that is the story all over. I went to Kogi. I was the chairman of Kogi. I want to come to Kogi. He said you should try and find a flight in which you can come to Makina. I said, Chairman, how do you go? He said, I go by road, but you're not the same status as me. I said, which is my status? What are you talking? You go by road. I'm going to come by road. Okay, it's not too good though. He said, I'll come. Whatever I see, I'll take. I called the chairman of Nasarawa. When I'm coming back to Kogi, please, I'm going to pass. Say, don't pass through this road. Don't come. Please, please. And he was right. I tell you, we passed through that road, 2.5 hours on the road. We didn't see one car, no police, no anybody. I just told my people, I said, let's be praying. Whatever we see, we take. Thank God we didn't see anything bad. But that is what we have. That is what our country has descended. And everybody is asking, why and how did we get here? We got here because of cumulative effect of leadership failure over the years. The young ones we have refused to invest in yesterday have become a problem today. Because we take responsibility for those who are, we never invested in them. And the story is still the same thing. You have that if you live in a country with over 100 million people living in poverty. It is a crisis. Everywhere you go now, Nigerians have been turned beggars. You have that problem when you have 18-point-something million people, children, out of school. You have that problem when you have 35% unemployment and combined with underemployment of 55%, which is about the highest in the world. And 60 to 70% of this unemployment and unemployment are young ones in their productive age doing nothing, with full of energy. Parents now educate their children. They go to school, they come back, they live in their house and they feed them. It doesn't happen anywhere in the world. It is only in Nigeria. The situation is endless. Small businesses are out there because either government is stifling them, or nobody is supporting them. They're dead. So the only business maybe that tries small is government, transactions in government. So we have a crisis, and that crisis we need to deal with. But we can't even solve that crisis because your country has become a debtor nation. We have borrowed more money, consumed it, because we never invested it. It become a problem for us. We're not owing too much money. Not that borrowing is wrong. There's nothing wrong with borrowing. Borrowing is legitimate. Every country of the world borrows money. But when you borrow for consumption, it becomes a problem. If you borrow for productivity, no problem. We borrowed for consumption. Every country borrows money. America is the biggest economy. It owes about 100% of its GDP. Followed by China. China owes about over 50% of our GDP. Followed by Japan. Japan owes 230% of our GDP. And so are so many other countries. Even those that have too much savings, like Norway, that have the highest software fund of $1.4 trillion, is still owing over 50% of its GDP. So borrowing is not bad. But when you borrow for consumption, it is bad. I was in Bauchi, and I went to pray at the tomb of Tafa Belawan. People said to me, why did you go here? I said, because of the sacrifice him and the leaders at that time did for Nigeria. It was under him that Nigeria borrowed the first money they ever borrowed. September 1964, Tafa Belawan wrote the World Bank to borrow $82 million to build 760 megawatts of electricity in Sudan. And in that letter, he said, I'm borrowing this money in order to be able to build this facility to spur economic growth of our country. And in the reply, it said it was the right decision to help for the development of your country. 58 years after, Kainji Dam is still there. Nobody can see the Kainji dams we built with the one we borrowed today. When Obasanjo left, Nigeria was owing 3 trillion. 3 trillion. That's what we're owing. Today, our debt is 58 trillion. And there's nothing to show for it. It is not the quantum. It is what do we borrow it to. If you look at the money of 1964, in today's value of money, is about $1 billion. Today, converted into dollars, is $120 billion. So, if we have invested a third of that money into generating 1,000 megawatts, which you can say is the equivalent of what he did then, a third of that money would be 40 billion. And that 40 billion would have given us 40,000 megawatts. I tell you, this country would have been different in terms of growth, in terms of economic activity, in terms of industrialization, in terms of productivity. But it wasn't. Because a country of 200 million people is generating 4,000 megawatts of electricity. The biggest economy in Africa. The second biggest economy, South Africa, 60 million population, is generating 54,000. So 50,000 more than the giant. The third biggest economy, Egypt, 103 million, is generating 55,000 megawatts. 51,000 more than the giant. Even in Egypt, the case that is unique is that Egypt doubled its power generation between 2015 and 2021. They increased it by about 26 to 55 by just investing $10 billion. Within that period, we borrowed 90 billion, but nobody can find it. The consequence now is that we can't service the debt because we're now using 90% of our revenue to service debt because the money was consumed. When the average you need to service debt is 25%. My dear people, we are faced with crisis. And that is what I came to plead with you people. I've governed, they've told you my background. I'm a trader. I was born in a trading family. And I've traded all my life. I'm still a trader. I live in Onitsha. It's the only place I live. The only place I work. So I know what it means to create wealth. So I know what it means to start small. Some people know what it means to start big. But I know what it means to start small. I know the engine of growth that I can turn around. Your country is not what it should be. All I want is to change Nigeria from consumption to production. It must be a producing country. For a country to exist, they must be productive. Nigeria is not productive. I want to change the sharing formula with production formula. Nigeria only here is share. And what are we sharing? We are sharing oil money. We are just sharing $15 billion, which means nothing to anybody. Oil have not saved Venezuela. It won't save Nigeria. Venezuela have 10 times more oil than Nigeria of oil, and it's not done anything to them. It's not done anything to Nigeria. In America, as big as they are, the richest and the biggest state, it's not Texas. Yet, Texas has far more oil than Nigeria. They are not number one. They are not number two. They are not number three. Number one is California. And what does California? What does California used to be number one? California today is about among the richest countries. That's all. But it's a state in America. 3.3 trillion economy. 8 times Nigerian economy. All they do is agriculture and knowledge, entertainment. Nigeria is sharing $15 billion. Kwara State land size of 30, call it about, Prosperity today, about 37,000 square kilometers, because it's 36,826. So call it 37,000 square kilometers of land. That is 4,000 square kilometers bigger than Netherlands. Netherlands, with that size of land exported last year, agricultural goods of $120 billion. 8 times what Nigeria earns from oil. But Kwara cannot fix it. Poverty rating is high. because we are sharing money. What are they producing that cannot be produced in Kwara here? You have a land that we can use to do anything, from rice to all the cashew to everything. We need government to invest in productivity. That is your land. I was in Morocco recently. Morocco is the agricultural export of about 10 billion. A country in Africa. Okay. So, I was, and this is done. If you look at what is happening, no problem. If you look at what is happening around us, when I say the country is not productive, Sri Lanka exported $1.4 billion worth of tea. So what are we doing here? Nothing. I told the people in Kenya, we can grow the rice. The land where they cultivate rice in Vietnam is not the same size that you have here in Kenya. Your budget for 1 year is about 160 billion naira, and that's what you're struggling for. Vietnam, that used to import rice, just exported in April. Total rice export of Vietnam is $300 million. Convert it is 175 billion, which is bigger than your budget. And you're here quarreling about this. Because we're not productive. A country of 200 million people, our total export last year is less than 30 billion. Vietnam, a country of 100 million people, total export is 280 billion. To show how unproductive your country is. A country with half of your population is exporting goods worth of 280 billion, and you cannot do 30 billion because we are sharing and begging. Our children are not productive. Nobody is productive. And what is Vietnam exporting? Garments, 30-something billion. Shoe, 20-something billion. These are what we can do because we don't want to focus on production. Everybody is talking about sharing. If I come to a place now, I see young men begging me for money. For God's sake, what is this? We must change this place. I will consume all of us. These are factory workers everywhere in the world, earning good living. Those young people or non-graduates that pick flower in Kenya are paid between $100 and $200. Our minimum wage is $30,000. $100 is 60,000 naira. If you pay 200, it's 120. That's what you pay senior staff. And they have a future. Because they will end up somewhere. Here, nobody has a future. In this huge country. All we do is sharing formula. Everybody agree. I asked the secretary, I said, are the Zimbabwean farmers still here? Is that what I asked you? Yes. He said yes. But we need to invest more and more in that sector. And we're not investing. All we do is, no. This is not sustainable. The way we live today is not sustainable. Countries after countries are doing things differently. The way the countries grow is by investing in the young ones, in their productive age. Nigerian youths have a lot of talent, they have a lot of energy, but no support from government. If you hear support, you only hear it in TV. Only in TV. Nobody. My background, I said I'm a trader. So I know about micro, small businesses. I'm a finance person. I can say in this, all of us that are contesting today, I'm the only person who can say, okay, wait a minute. Yes, though you have told you the schools have been very good schools, as good as they are, I always say to him, though in educational qualification is not a measure of integrity. There's so many criminals that went to school. What we need in Nigeria is that we need people who are passionate about changing this country, who understands what development is all about, who are prepared to commit to it, and who are prepared to make the sacrifice. Our leaders have refused to make sacrifice. Because of it, we want to take all. But we need to change it. I've been in finance. I know that young ones are not supported. I know that nobody is giving them access to finance. And I'll change it because I know what it is. I know we're not productive. A country of this size, manufacturing contribution to our GDP is less than 10%, when the average everywhere is about 30%. And I know what to do because I'm a manufacturer. I know what it takes. I'm a businessman. I've done it globally. And I have all the contacts. Just yesterday, on Tuesday, JP Morgan delisted Nigeria from emerging markets. I called my colleagues in London, my colleagues in New York, and I said, how can you do that to Nigeria? The first person I spoke to in London said, Peter, you're my brother. I cannot continue to advise anybody to invest in Nigeria. I called my contact in New York. He said from January to end of March, Nigeria is only oil producing country with almost twice the price of oil that did not deposit $1 in his account. What my delegates were doing were like people in Titanic. It was sinking. Because those who play music was on top, they were busy dancing. They didn't know that the other one is sank until it consumed them. Because that's what we're doing now. We are still busy dancing. My dear people, you cannot be delegates forever. Nobody ever holds any position forever. I was once a governor and I used to tell people, they will tell you, oh, you must do this, you're entitled to it. I said, I'm not entitled to anything. I came here by the grace of God. And I will not abuse his grace. Everybody says, tell you what you're entitled to. I said, I will not abuse his grace. I want to serve these people and go. We shut down the cost of governance. Because at times people say, where did you get the money to do this? I said, we got the money because we shut down the cost of governance. Simple. Said to them, this is what we're going to do. Anambra State Governor does not live in Abuja, so we can't have a lodge in Abuja. So give her that building, give it out in Lagos. Nobody drives, no normal person drives at one time 20 cars, unless the person is mad. Because it can't be more than none of them. So we must shut it down. We don't need to have a guest house because we are not running a hotel, we're running a government. I used to go to Abuja and people would say, oh, he's not happy. Nobody's happy with you. I say, well, I didn't promise people happiness. I promised to fix school. I promised to fix road, not happiness. Anybody who wants to have can go and look for entertainers or comedians. They are the people who make people happy, not me. I am not part of that job. And it's not my job. My job is to do the right things and everything. People say, oh, we can't have to come to government house to do end of the year party, to do this. I said, no party in government. I told them in Calabana that they'd be surprised that I'll stop all this dancing and celebration if I have the opportunity. So we can go into production and manufacturing. I said to them, well, government house is not a place for entertainment. It's not for dancing. When I said it, nobody will ever tell you while I was governor, they drank a bottle of wine in government house. It is not. Because we're not bad, we're not doing bad business. I'm not against drinking. But every kobo went to fixing the schools. People said to me, oh, this. I said, no. In fact, today somebody just told me a story as we're going to see. He said, Peter, that somebody told him. I said, yes. Every senior prefect of a secondary school had my phone number as governor. and I speak to them direct. I don't need to speak to the big men. I have a lot of big men in Anambra State, but that's the purpose why I went there. So I can come to, like I said, President will say to me, oh, I'm not, so many people are not happy with you. I say, Mr. President, the people that needs to be happy or happy with me are school children. These are the people I vow to do. I want to change the education. Boys don't go to school. I visit schools. I visited every secondary school in Anambra State at least twice. It's something I told him today. I said, Ogadoyin, if I'm president, that in Anambra State I slept in every local government. He said, how? I said, I'll call somebody. I said, I'm going to sleep in your house. And I went there and sleep. That first, before you travel out, you have to go to every state and spend at least 3 days and know what is happening. See the poor people and listen to them and know their language. We must have a government that cares for the poor, not a government that cares for the rich. So my dear people, you are, I repeat, governance is about the poor. The more people say, how are you going to fight security? Fighting security is not sophisticated. It's been done everywhere in the world. This insecurity you're talking. The more you put people out of poverty, you reduce criminality. It's simple. I will put people out of poverty. And then you equip the police. Nigeria, as big as it is, have less than 500,000 police personnel. Egypt have over 1 million. Nigeria will say they don't have the revenue. You pull people out of poverty by reducing that. There's so many other things we can do. With my dear people, thank you for want of time. What I can tell you is that you are delegates. When you go to vote on that day, I know where you vote. And so I will never say to you, don't support my brother Buki. Because he understands. Yes, yes. And because he feels the same pain I feel. And because we talk. And I always tell them, if he comes here, he will consume me and you people first. Don't think anybody's going to leave us the day they decide. The day they start is we versus them. And they won't care whether you are good or bad. All of us will go. When we get to heaven, those who did bad can go to hell. Those who get them can go to... But here, they will take all of us out. They will not spare any of us. So for me, it is critical. When you go to vote, please, bring out, don't look at our faces. Don't look at anybody. Bring out the picture of your children. And pray. What society do I want these children to live in? A society of hopelessness? A society of banditry? Of kidnapping? Or criminality? A society where they are not sure where they will go to bed and wake up? Or do you want to give them a society that have a hope? Mothers, fathers, I'm begging you, the society we are helping them to abuse today will take its revenge on your children and your grandchildren. God bless you.
Your Excellency, our highly respected former governor of Anambra State, Dr. Peter Obi. First and foremost, I want to tell you that all what Eda Doni Okupe told us today is true. And I'll tell you the reason. I was able to meet him as far back as 30-something years ago. That was 1988 precisely. I was a member of the youth wing of Dapo Sarumi then. Daddy, Mommy, Sarumi Dibofun. That was the time Lagos was boiling between Agbala Jobi and Dapo Sarumi. Equally, I was opportune to serve our highly respected father, late Dr. Abaka Bukola Saraki, as one of his last. That's our father. So he came to Baba, and all what he said that happened in 2001, 2002 was the truth. I resigned there in October 2002 when I was planning to go to the House of Assembly. So I want to thank you for staying and giving in support that is necessary. Thank you, sir. Your Excellency, sir, to some of us who have visited your state when you are still serving as a governor, I want to tell my colleagues that are here today and the entire people of Kwara that gathered here that everything that happened within those 8 years is well known to the people of Nigeria who followed what you did as a governor. When I was the Speaker of the House of Assembly, I visited your state 2 times with the then Speaker of your state. That was 2010, 2011. And I want to tell you that what you told us that in 2014, when you were leaving, you left behind a lot of billions of naira after those performances and after you have developed that state, and nothing was there to tell anybody that you are owing any kobo when you are leaving. So I want to thank you for this. It is my belief that if God Almighty gives somebody like you the opportunity to serve this great country, I strongly believe that you are going to repeat and even do more than what you did in Anambra State. Now, to come back home, I am highly delighted that you are very close to our leader, Dr. Abaka Bukola Saraki. Precisely by 10 p.m. yesterday, I was with him, and he told me that you have discussed with him, we should come back home because of you and receive you. That's what he told me yesterday. Equally, very early this morning, around 4 a.m., he called me that we should not bother looking for vehicle or Oma bus, because somebody called me in your office yesterday that we're looking for Prado car, Oma buses to go and shatter so that we take you from the airport. Oga said from his own personal vehicles, he has made an argument for you that the two of you are working together. So I want to assure the people of Kwara State that Dr. Peter Obi is a very close friend of our leader, and we should do everything to give him the support. By the grace of God, PDP will take over government in Nigeria in 2022. Nigerians are tired of APC. A bag of rice when Jonathan was leaving office in 2015 was just, yes, Dr. Jonathan, was 7,500 naira. Today, a bag of rice is far above 30,000. The exchange rate of $1 to naira then was about 185, 190 naira. Today, in the black market, we're talking of 550 to 600 naira per dollar. So we cannot continue this way. And our leader, Dr. Abaka Bukola Saraki, and Dr. Peter Obi, they are on the same page on this issue, that Nigerians, we cannot continue this way. So we continue to pray for you, and I want to assure you that people of Kwara State will stay and give you the necessary support when the time comes.
Thanks for checking out Symphony on YouTube. Please be sure to subscribe and like our videos for updates.